Welcome back. So today we are going to take a quick look, and I mean a very quick look at WGZ BLON's Fat Girl. And I say quick because, most of you aren't going to buy it just for the name, and then there's a few of you who bought it just for the name, and the rest of you are probably going to steer clear of this one. So I can't argue with that position. So for those of you who were curious, it does say Music and Dreams Let Music Burn since 2014. So they did correct that for some reason. They should have actually put the original wording because that would probably get a couple more sales out of it. So pretty plain packaging. Up close, the build quality is actually pretty nice. It's actually, a quite nice set of bullets. This is the dark silver version, I think. Maybe it's called gray. I'm not sure what it's called, but actually quite nice. The cable itself is actually quite nice. Compared to the last $10 set of blondes that I actually used, these are very nice. They're sort of a world apart. A long time ago, there was a $10 set by Blonde. It was like a T1 or a T10, and it was kind of similar. It was more of a Q-tip form factor, but it was the non-detached cable, and it was a very low-cost set of $10, and it sounded like it was worth about $1. It was kind of garbage, but Fat Girl, not so bad. Horrible name, but driver quality isn't all that far off from pretty usual blondes. I wouldn't even put this one at the bottom of the blonde ranking list. It's kind of up above a lot of sets just because of the price, and the driver quality isn't as bad as some of the other ones, and it's not a crazy $90 set that looks cool but sounds not good. So yeah, it's kind of a mid-packer as far as blondes go. And if we look at the graph, you can kind of see what they really did here. And for those of you who are familiar with KB Ear and looked at reviews of ink, they did the exact same thing. They took something that sounds pretty good and made it a bigger V. More V is better. And that's pretty much what they did here. So a little more bass, because why not? So that cuts into your mids a little bit. They actually do fall a little more recessed. And I wasn't really a fan of that bit. And as you put them in for the first time, and maybe your volume is a little lower, that's the way I do it, the vocals definitely sit kind of far back, and you'll end up turning the volume up quite a bit to get them to come forward. And when they come forward, by the time they kind of sound right, this part really takes over, and it becomes a very bassy set. It kind of sounds just like it looks. No surprise there, but it actually does sound pretty much like that. And then as you get into this bit, you have the same exact problem. So as you're bringing in the vocals, making them a little closer, this is getting very, very loud and kind of shouty and a lot. So yeah, I really couldn't take it too much at stock form. I definitely EQ'd it, and I pretty much EQ'd it bass down to about where my O3 is. That's kind of fine. It's not that much of a change, but it just sits kind of below the vocals enough where I'm not getting bass fatigue, and that was kind of fine. This bit, which looks like it's about 10 dB over BLO3, you can kind of knock that down about half of that, maybe 5 or 7, and then you're kind of sitting in a reasonable place. But yeah, it's just kind of an oddball thing to do. And ink, I think, was the same way. You kind of look at it and you're like, why did they go from Diamond, which had a pretty reasonable graph and reasonable tuning, and then just make a big V out of it? And here we have kind of a reasonable driver, especially for $10. It actually it's kind of nice for $10 compared to their last $10 set. So it's definitely O3-ish if you EQ it, but as it is out of the box, you're kind of scratching your head like, is this some kind of weird joke? Is this some experiment? I mean, why do they name it Fat Girl? Put a driver that has some potential and then give you a tuning where you really can't turn it up enough to really hear what the driver can do and its performance. And yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't have anything really other than to say is, if you bought it for the name and give it a try, like I said, I would definitely EQ it. You'll get to a higher volume that way. But if you're a low volume listener, this might work for you. It's sort of tuned in that style where you boost this quite a bit, and then at low volumes it kind of sounds okay, but as you turn it up, it's definitely going to break apart. So do break out your EQ and do something about that. But Yeah, other than that, not too much. This is BLON, doing a BLON on a BLON, right? This is an '03 BLON that's been BLON to be a bigger V with a little more bass and a whole lot more lower treble. That wasn't really needed, but there you go. So again, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time.